Have you ever noticed that no matter how much you think about your problems, they never really go away? You replay conversations, you analyze your emotions, you make lists, plans, and strategies. And yet, the anxiety returns. The confusion remains. You're not alone. Most of us believe that if we just think harder, longer, or smarter, we'll figure life out. But what if that's the trap? What if, as Jiddu Krishnamurti said, thinking is the problem, not the solution? It sounds strange at first. How can thinking be the problem? Isn't thinking what separates us from animals? Isn't it how we invent, solve, create, improve? Yes, thinking has its place. But Krishnamurti pointed out something we rarely question. Most of our thinking is just memory, repetition, conditioning. It's not fresh. It's not free. It's the same loop again and again, just with different labels. Imagine this. You're feeling insecure about your job. Your mind starts thinking, what if I get fired? What if I'm not good enough? Should I work harder? Maybe I need to learn more. Maybe I should switch careers. It feels productive, but in reality, you're not solving anything. You're reacting from fear, and fear distorts everything. Krishnamurti said, a mind that is constantly in conflict is not a free mind. And thinking, the way we usually do it, is conflict. It's past versus present. Desire versus reality. Fear versus what is. Thought compares, judges, resists. It creates the problem and then tries to escape it, using the same broken tool. Let's take relationships. You fight with someone you love, then you think, why did they say that? What did they mean? How do I fix this? But the more you think, the more stories you create. You remember old arguments, you anticipate new ones, you imagine what they're thinking. Soon you're not relating to the person anymore. You're relating to your thoughts about them. You're trapped in your own mental maze. Krishnamurti didn't say stop thinking. He wasn't against logic or reason. What he asked was, can you see the limits of thought? Can you notice how thought is always old, always based on what was, never what is? Because real clarity doesn't come from thinking harder. It comes from seeing. He once said, insight is not the result of accumulated knowledge. It is a flash of understanding in the present moment. That's why when you're truly present, watching a sunset, holding a crying child, sitting in silence, something shifts. The chatter quiets down. There's no effort, no judgment, just awareness. And in that awareness, things often become clear without any thinking at all. So what does this mean for us in daily life? It means noticing when you're caught in loops. It means observing your thoughts without blindly believing them. It means making space, not for more answers, but for silence. Because in that silence, something deeper may emerge, something beyond thought, beyond fear, beyond the self that thought has built. Krishnamurti said, the ability to observe without evaluating is the highest form of intelligence. And that's the invitation. To live not from memory, not from fear, not from old patterns, but from awareness, from presence, from freedom. So the next time your mind races to fix everything, pause, watch, listen. You may just find that the solution you've been chasing was never in your thoughts to begin with. But let's be honest, this isn't easy. We live in a world that worships thought. From the moment we're born, we're trained to solve, to analyze, to decide. Our schools reward quick answers. Our jobs demand constant thinking. And when we're in pain, we're told to think positively or figure it out. So letting go of thought even a little can feel scary. It can feel like losing control. But maybe that's exactly what we need. Control, as Krishnamurti pointed out, is often just fear wearing a nice suit. We try to control our emotions. We try to control people. We even try to control the future. But the truth is, the more we try to control life, the more anxious we become. Because life isn't meant to be controlled. It's meant to be lived, felt, witnessed, not managed like a business plan. That's why Krishnamurti often spoke about the art of observing without interference, not trying to change what you feel, not labeling your thoughts as good or bad, just watching, like you'd watch clouds drift by. Thoughts come, thoughts go, but you remain, quiet, alert, free, and in that state, something beautiful happens. You begin to see reality as it is, not as your mind wants it to be, not through the filter of fear or memory or desire, but clearly, simply, fully. This is not passivity. It's not about doing nothing. In fact, Krishnamurti was deeply active. He traveled the world, gave talks, wrote books, met with scientists and spiritual seekers. But his actions didn't come from mental noise. They came from clarity, from stillness, from direct perception of what needed to be done, without the ego's interference. Most of us act from thought first, clarity second, if at all. He flipped that. First, clarity, then action. And often in clarity, action becomes obvious, effortless. Think about moments in your life when you truly knew what to do. Not because you thought it through for hours, but because something inside you just knew. That's not thought. That's awareness. And Krishnamurti's entire philosophy points us back to that inner knowing. Not knowledge, but knowing. Not information, but direct perception. He didn't want followers. He didn't offer a method. He said, truth is a pathless land. Because the moment you follow someone else's path, you stop observing your own. And then you're back in thought, back in belief, back in the prison of the known. So where do we go from here? We begin with noticing, just noticing. When your mind starts racing, when fear takes over, when you catch yourself replaying or predicting or fixing. Pause. Ask, is this thought helping or just repeating? Breathe. Feel the space between thoughts. Even if it's just a second, that second is the doorway. And with time, that space grows. Not because you forced it, but because you allowed it. Krishnamurti's message isn't about rejecting the mind. It's about putting it in its right place. Using thought as a tool, not a master. Living not from the noise in your head, but from the quiet intelligence of awareness. You don't have to retreat to a mountain. You don't need to escape life. You just need to begin where you are. With a simple question. Can I see what is, without trying to change it? That question might be the beginning of real freedom. But let's bring this down to real life. You wake up late. Your phone is full of messages, deadlines, family drama, social media noise. And right away, your mind kicks in. What did I forget? Who do I need to respond to? I'm already behind. I'll never catch up. Thoughts snowball before you even get out of bed. In that moment, pause. Don't try to fight the thoughts. Don't try to fix them. Just notice them. Notice how quickly your mind labels everything. Bad, urgent, failure. Notice how those thoughts create a feeling, and how that feeling drives your day. This is the cycle Krishnamurti talked about. Thought creating emotion. Emotion reinforcing more thought. A loop with no exit. Unless you step outside and observe. And observing doesn't mean you suddenly become calm and peaceful. It just means you see things clearly. You become aware that the thought, I'm failing, is just that. A thought. Not the truth. Not who you are. Just a passing cloud in the sky of your mind. Over time, this simple awareness can change everything. You start responding to life, not reacting. You hear someone criticize you, and instead of defending yourself in your head all day, you just listen. You feel sadness rise, and instead of escaping into distraction, you sit with it. You stop feeding every thought like it's a fact. You begin to live from presence, not memory. Krishnamurti often spoke about freedom, not political freedom, but freedom from the known. Freedom from the past that lives in your thoughts. Freedom from the identity your mind keeps repeating. I am this. I am not that. I should be more like them. I should be less like me. He challenged people to question every belief they held. Not to destroy belief, but to see whether it came from truth or fear. Whether it was something you discovered for yourself, or something you were taught to accept. And in that questioning, something softens. The grip of thought loosens. There's room for something deeper to emerge. Not a new belief, not a new identity, but a quiet, living intelligence that isn't trapped in yesterday. This intelligence isn't loud. It doesn't give you instant answers, but it gives you space. Space to see, space to breathe, space to live without the constant pressure of becoming someone, fixing everything, proving anything. You begin to realize you don't have to be at war with your mind. You just have to stop mistaking it for the whole of you. So maybe the invitation isn't to stop thinking entirely, but to become aware of it, to see how much of your suffering, your fear, your confusion doesn't come from life itself, but from the way thought interprets it. Krishnamurti never told us to escape life. He never asked us to reject thinking like some enemy. Instead, he pointed gently, again and again, toward observation, toward stillness, toward freedom. Imagine living a life where you're not constantly reacting, where you can sit with discomfort without rushing to fix it, where you can experience pain without becoming it, where you can witness your mind without being controlled by it. That's not philosophy, that's a shift in being, and it begins now, with a moment of silence, with a breath, with the courage to observe what is, instead of chasing what should be. You don't need to read every book. You don't need to change overnight. You just need to see, clearly, honestly, quietly. And in that seeing, something inside begins to open. A different kind of intelligence. One that doesn't divide. One that doesn't struggle. One that simply is. If this message touched something in you, let it sit. Don't rush to explain it. Let it move in its own way. And if you'd like more videos like this, spaces to pause, to reflect, to remember who you are beneath all the noise, feel free to subscribe or share this with someone who may need a little stillness today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And most of all, thank you for simply observing.